Hello and welcome again to Wikipedia Weekly Network, where we're going to be editing Wikidata live again. Me, Jan Ainali, and Albin Larsson. Hello, Albin.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jan?
I'm good as well, and very excited today because I'm going to delve into projects a little bit. What are you going to be editing?
Yeah. I am going to be a first-time user of Petscan. You showed it off for editing some sustainable goals data, editing a lot of items at the same time. And I'm going to try to do that, but for the first time, and I'm going to let everyone follow along.
All right. That's going to be interesting, and see if you have any question or bump into anything, if I can be able to help you as well. Yeah. All right. So I'm actually just going to jump into this, and we'll see where we go. I'll see if I will share here. And there. Yes. So I'm going to start here with the Wiki project that we started just a couple of weeks ago. So this is the WikiProject Sweden, and if you want to find it on Wikidata, you have the WDSWE as the shortcut, or w.wikixfl if you want to come join us. We have a new fancy Wikidata-inspired logo as well. So Wiki projects are way on, I guess they're on all kind of Wikimedia projects, ways to collaborate in a topic. And here we collaborated in Sweden, about Sweden and everything about it. And I'm going to start by showing something that we already did. So here's the court decisions from the Supreme Court. And this is sort of a way which is quite common on Wikidata, to discuss how do we want to model this topic? How do we want a case from the Supreme Court of Sweden to look like, essentially? What kind of properties do we want, and where can we find the data as well? So here's one we did, and another user actually started to import this already. I think there's a couple of years in already, starting from 2019 and going back in time. And I think there's data to 2004 or something already, like in quite easily digestible form. And it's just a couple of, around 100 cases per year, so it's no large import. But these are quite important for the Swedish justice system. And we discovered that one thing that are quite commonly connected to these are the Swedish laws. So that's where we're going to go next. And that's where I want to start today as well. So we just last week got a property approved for the documents of the Swedish Riksdag. And one of the things are the laws and the implementing regulations. And you can see I've already started thinking about emotions as well, but today we're going to think about laws. And before diving into that, I want to make a query to Wikidata to see what is here already. Where do we start? So I'm going to start from scratch, as I usually do, and show you how I think. And I'll just start writing select, and I'll press Control space, which brings up this super handy little thing, autocomplete. And I'll select this, which will give me the basic syntax for the query. I'm going to change this. I'm going to call this, well, not call it law. And I want to grab the name for this as well. So I'm going to start with law label. I'll have to add the service for that later. So a query for the law, and that's the property. And I want the instance off, and you can start writing instance off, and it's P31. That's one of the first one you learn. And I want the item to be legislative act. There we have it. And I'm fairly certain already that this is, there's going to be different types here. So I'm going to add already. And here you can do, if you want things that are subclasses of this as well, you can add subclass. E279 and a star there. So we'll traverse this down. And then of course, I only want this for country P17 for Sweden. Sweden is Q34. And I'm using control space all the time. Well, I knew Sweden Q34, so I could have. And here you see also a little thing I did. I put a semicolon over here and a period over here. And this one actually means that I'm still using law as my variable to query for. Otherwise, I could have done a period over here and repeated this. Well, these two are exactly interchangeable, but I think this looks a little bit clearer. It's easier to follow. I think that's my basic query. I'm going to start with that and see what we get.
You want to add the label service as well?
Ooh, yes, I do. Let's do that. So I'll start writing service and press, and it's the second one that starts with label. So I'm just going to grab that one. And here I'm actually going to change for your convenience. I'm going to go with English first and Swedish as the fallback. Let's run this again. And 36, that's not a lot of loss. And this was not very good because, of course, this query service is quite picky. Need a capital L there. Let's try again. Here we got something. Fundamental laws on freedom of expression.
Right.
I actually want to change something here then. So I want to query for the law again. Actually, I don't need to do that. Let's do like this. And I'm going to go for the instance of again and add here type, just to be able to see what it is, what kind of law it's as in Wikidata. So I'll add the type label here as well with capital L. Hopefully that will be the same result. So now we see here constitution, legislation, peace treaty. All right, interesting. And a treaty, implementing regulation, and a couple of legislative acts. So we have some different kinds here. And I guess this is something that we're going to need to clean up. We have some new ones. We have some older ones. And let's see if I can.
Swedish law, just. Yeah.
Did we have that type as well?
Yeah,
or what?
we had one we had one which was just called Swedish law, which seems a little odd.
But it refers to the. So this is interesting. This might be possibly useful.
Yeah, you might. I assume everything would be an instance of this one. So this is actually this is a subclass of law.
Mm-hmm. It could be like this should be the starting thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you something that will complicate stuff, because things that we will bring in is also, of course, things that are constitution. But I guess then we'll still we could add both, I guess. So this could have instance of Constitution and instance of Swedish law. That's 2 instances of, perhaps.
Or yeah, right.
Or should we have, or is there an item for Swedish constitutions? Did we see any?
Is there a Wikipedia article about Swedish constitution?
I guess it should be. Or maybe it's just for one of each. Did we have any here?
I imagine
here we have one. I guess this one is...
Yeah.
Oh, wait. This is one of them, yeah. Yeah, so one of the 4. Do we have one? Not in here, at least, but that might be we're not finding it. Because I noticed before that there's something interesting going on. Because right now I used country. But we also have this other one that is interesting, jurisdiction.
Oh.
Applies to jurisdiction. So let's just try that and see what we get. We had 37 now.
But would we get European law as well?
I don't think so. But now we got a little fewer, 30 instead of 37. And here we got, so for example, brottsbalken, the criminal code, that one wasn't in the previous one.
Indeed. We got a note here from Daniel saying that the Wikipedia article on Swedish law was about the book.
So actual we have this big printed blue book in Swedish, which is quite classic with all the laws.
Yeah.
And which every law student is required to buy.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to try a trick here, and I'm going to try to make this an or. I think that's just a pipe. So let's go back. And so either if it applies to jurisdiction or P17 and has the value of Sweden, it's going to show up. So we had 30 and 37. So I guess we're going to get somewhere in between because some may have both. And we get 67. That is exactly double.
You could do a select distinct to avoid that.
Good.
Right?
Yes, so I don't get both. So I'll add that here first, and then we will just pick one of each. Let's just see if we have any duplicates here. If we can see any quickly. We have the defense acts coming up twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just run the distinct and see how many we get. 55. All right.
Great.
So this is sort of the first half of my sort of research. I'm going to try to bring up someone that I think is fairly good. And I'm going to be a bit biased. I'm going to bring up something that I actually made myself previously this year. It's a law regarding temporary closure of school activities. So let's take a look at that one.
Right, in peacetime.
Yes, so this one was, of course, because of COVID-19. Discussion about how we close things down in Sweden has been very on the top of mind of media. And it turns out it's actually quite hard to close things in Sweden and keep people indoors. Like there's part of the constitution is that you're allowed to walk about. So yeah. But this is one change they did. And what do we have here? What did I use? So yeah, of course, I hedged my bets here. So I think this.
Right.
We should probably select one of these. And then,
yeah.
Or maybe both. I don't know. If people in the chat, we have quite a lot of comments here. Yes, there was Swedish housemaid actors. Someone's also asking about abstract Wikipedia and Wikilambda. Don't think we're going to go into that today, but tomorrow on the Wikipedia Weekly Network, Denny will be on. So we will for sure get the scoop right from the horse's mouth.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, title is good. Main subject, school. I couldn't find anything about schools closures.
Right.
This might be wrong. This should probably be original language of work. I probably did this wrong. So this is P364. It should probably be P407.
Yeah, and gives a warning there as well.
Yep.
But this has cause is a very interesting one. I imagine that could apply to a lot of laws, actually.
Yes, and I guess there we can also have in both directions from laws on the cases in the Supreme Court, but also the opposite.
Yeah.
Like if you're having a strange sentence, but the judges are forced to make that decision because of the law, then that might cause a change of laws.
Indeed. And as well with treaties, of course, we have a war connected to it and so on.
Yeah. So I'm going to head back into this page and try to, I'm just going to copy. So this is a template system used. So there's headers and rows, and there's, of course, an end. So I'm going to copy one of these. I'm just going to check what the end is called. I don't even see it. No, there it is. Footer. All right. Go back here. Edit the laws section. So this is going to be the sort of the main place for us to discuss this. You could, of course, discuss it on an item, but it doesn't really make sense. You could also make a model item, make one item really good. Yeah. But I think both ways are good, and also quite useful to actually have one item or a couple of them to really see how does it look like besides having these. I think I did. So here we have separate sections for the acts and the implementing regulations. Oh. And of course, that is something else, because in Sweden we have the implementing regulation, in Swedish förordning, which has sort of the same status as laws, but there are just below them in like how there are, if you have to enforce them, laws come higher up, and then the implementing regulations come below them. But it is the Swedish riksdag that makes them. So this is going to be a footer. And here I'm gonna actually think, oh, it's better if I actually click in the edit window. I think I'm gonna lump them all together for now. So I'm gonna move these, and I'm gonna put a comment here. Move this one as well. So I think we have there, and we'll bring this one as an example. So we'll borrow this queue number. So this template has a couple of things. So first we have this ID, and I don't know if it's different, if it's just repeating from the property. I haven't really figured out. So if someone knows in the chat, please let us know. And here, this one is for now. This one was legislative act. Let's see just how this look for now. Oh, this is the first one. Good. So I'm going to bring this one, put it here. Let's see how the example would look like. So this one explains what property we're going to use. And here's the sort of example. This item is an instance of this legislative act. And I'm going to add something more here. Can be of the types. What did we have? We had the legislative act, the legal act, constitution, implementing regulation. And that might not be correct then. So let's see, what did we have in our query? The implementing regulation is for sure going to be there. And I think the question is how we're going to do with this Swedish law. But if that was a book, then it doesn't really matter. Then we can just skip
that should
those.
be simple.
The question is what these legislations are, if we're going to need them. And that's in the tree. Oh, so it's a type of a legislative act. And I actually think that we're not going to need them because we will just change them. So we can remove the legal act. And we will not have the... I think this will be the right then. Show preview. So we have our constitution, we have our legislative acts, which is what our laws are, and the implementing regulation. 3 types. That's a good start. And then I'll just copy this one and start adding in a few more things then. So we had the country. Here I'm going to make the comment instead. Or should we use P1001, which was the applies to jurisdiction instead? Or even both? So I'll leave these as open questions for anyone interested in this topic to sort of chip in their 2 cents. That's good. And we'll keep working our way down here. Things that would be useful to add. Let's head over to one of the laws to see what we had. Title is always good. And I'm going to sneak peek here. You cannot see, but when you can see in the URL, you can see P1476. So I'm going to remember that. Go here. 1476. My typo as well. We're here. And I'm just going to copy this for now. It's a very yieldy or obnoxious title of our laws with the parentheses, but I think that is actually the official law names. It's very ugly. I don't like it. And I think it was Daniel who commented here before also. He found that some of the laws have already been translated because some of them are more applicable in international. So that will also be very handy later on. I'll show the preview for this and see. All right. Oh, double title. What did I do? What?
Yeah, it's there twice, right?
Yep. Maybe I'm Control V happy today. I don't know. Then we're going to see. I think the publication dates, they are going to be trivial to import. So we'll start with that 577. And I think this will be also in, like we have to do these like in 2 steps, because some of these will be easy to just extract from wherever the data is, but something like the main subject, I think we will need to do that manually. I'm not sure if we have any like classification system that can do it. I don't think they're tagged either. Oh, and then of course we have the date for when it comes into effect. I was very unsure when I did it if start time was the best one. I think there's something better. Let's like look again for something like that. No.
Is there some type of famous law we could look at that has recently been international, so to say, that might be modeled well?
We could look at GDPR, perhaps?
Yeah, exactly. GDPR. Might be.
Or European General Data Protection Regulation. Let's see if it has something useful here. So we have the inception instead of publishing date. They use applies to jurisdiction. Oh, and of course here we have 27 titles because they are official titles in all the languages.
Right.
It has the start time as well, because this is the date when it went into effect.
But it gives a warning. What might that be?
Should not both have start time and inception.
Right.
No one in the chat has, because I think there's something better here that I missed. I think I remembered seeing it just a couple of weeks ago. Let's try enter. All right. Service entry, no.
No.
Or perhaps that feels closer, even though this is not a piece of equipment. Will this?
I wonder how it's used.
Yeah, let's see if it has something. No, these are not. Let's check it inception and see if it has something. So this is some of the typical research you run into when you try to go into modeling any topic, more or less. Like you trying to figure out which is the best properties to use for this topic area. Because you want it to make sense for anyone who looks at it and immediately understandable. This doesn't help us much either. Date of official opening. Is there a wiki project for law? Maybe I should have started, but my research there. Wiki project law. Let's try that. Yay!
Oh.
Already. So let's see.
Let's see their properties.
There.
There were a SPARQL query there as well. That might be easier.
All right, let's go with that. Fire it up. right. So I think applies to jurisdiction seems. Mm-hmm.
Here we got help in the chat. P7588.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. So let's take a look at that immediately. I'm going to just write P:7588.
Yes.
Effective date. Yes.
Effective date,
This
right.
is exactly what we want. When the law comes into force. All right. Thank you. This is why we do this. Perfect. So we're going to have one of these as well. Then I'm just going to drop it here and copy this. The P here. This was 2 days later. I think this was some sort of record time, like they published it 2 days before it went into effect. But of course, it's very special circumstances. Point in time, date of publication, effective date. All right.
Cool.
I think I'm gonna stop there for now because this is like quite a long work, and I think you all have sort of gotten a bit of an insight in what you actually do, and this is also so that we can start discuss this immediately. So are we going to use the applies to jurisdiction, the country, or both, which is something to figure out. Yeah.
Great.
So let's see if we can switch to you here. All right. Yes.
Amazing. So I'm gonna be a first-time user of Petscan because a couple of weeks ago Jan showed this tool here, how we applied edits to a lot of items just by using a SPARQL query. And I want to try the same. And last time we actually found a great case for that. Railway station in Sweden which do not have a time zone. So generally for time zones, we add is located in time zone. But in general, there are a lot of them missing that property. But if we could query for all railway stations in Sweden without the time zone, and then we could put it in Petscan, click a button and have them edited, it would be very nice. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Nice idea.
We're going to see what struggles I end up on the way there. Never use this tool. This is generally one of the tasks I would myself write a bot for, or my own tool. But it would make sense to actually use an existing one, so to say. So I'm going to start writing the query I just mentioned, using the same trick as Jan used, control space to get this basic one. I'm gonna instance of, I'm just gonna type it like that without space. I don't know the queue number for railway station. So railway station, and I'm gonna use this trick that Jan used. You can do in SPARQL. We can use this one to just, we don't need to add the subject or triple again here. We can just keep on querying P17 country, BD.
Oh, yes. Did you forget the P for P31?
I did. That's great. And happens a lot. Maybe one should use autocomplete all the time. Sweden. And then we want to do minus because we want everything that do not have a time zone.
Mm-hmm.
You
Minus
can do that
feels so intuitive. It's a good word.
It does. It does. You can also use a filter or something like this, but minus. It just makes so sense.
But that one is not in the autocomplete.
It isn't.
I tried that earlier today, starting writing mine, and didn't get it.
No,
No.
that's a little sad because a mistake people often do with minus is that they believe it's a function, so they would use regular parentheses. We had that happening here.
I think I made that mistake a couple of times already on this show.
Exactly, and I don't think we are alone.
No. So there's a wish for the Wikidata queries query team, service team to add that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should write a Fabricator ticket later today.
It shouldn't be a huge change, I imagine, having played around a little bit with the source code. Let's see here. What were I up to? So, located in time zone. Great. So, I'm just gonna give that a name. Let's see what we get here. Yay, 120. That's a lot. Right?
Oh, that big one.
What? One of the major ones. So that's the only match for time. Great. That's the only one we got. I'm just gonna double check so you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna look at the largest train station because I assume that has a time zone. Yeah, so this has located in time zone, Central European time, Standard Time, Central European Summertime. So this is what I'm hoping to do with Petscan. So we got a query here that selects the relevant items. And then this is Petscan. Okay. This is the start page you get to when you use Codair. I would imagine it would be Wikidata, but I happens to remember that Jan clicked on author sources, where I got the SPARQL input.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do it like that to begin with. And I assume this is for author things. Maybe just do it. Skipping all this. We have 500 as a max result. Yeah, right.
Same number.
Same number. And same order as well. We got it here. We got some data about it. And now I want to add things. Assume command list add or remove.
Yes.
Okay. So let's see what we got here. This is 421 is located in time zone, which I want to add. This is actually going to be a little terrible because I can't add as I see it qualifiers, or can I? It says nothing about qualifiers. That would have been very nice. Is there a help
would have been
page
very
here?
Nice.
Manual. Okay, great. qualifiers. That's something else. That's something else. No. If I just go to edit. Get the site links. Okay, I want to edit. Examples. Items with no statements. Add remove statements from Wikidata items. Good. Wikidata in author sources. Use wiki. Right. Oh, I imagine I can't, but I'm gonna still add those. I assume it's an easy fix when I go to country Sweden, which the query is dependent on, to just add the validating period. I might do that with an actual bot later on. It will still be a useful showcase here. So I got the items there. I want to have a Central European time like that. Let's see, go back here. I assume I then just add a new row.
I think that's so nothing more complex than that.
That it's a bit of guesswork, but actually my struggles here is a great case for me to update the documentation and manual for future users. And we want the Central European summertime. Of course, there might be other cases like items that might only have one of those, things like that, but that's for another day. So now we got, right?
No, all of them will have both, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, there might be current cases where train stations might only have one.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's for another day.
Yes.
So we could actually write the minus and here. So you can do this as well. We can add minus VD. Central time. Or what it was named. Something like this. Central European summertime, for example.
Yep.
And get everything that's just missing that one.
Yep.
We won't be able to try that tonight because when I've been running this edit, it will still take a while for it to update, I believe. It's 5 minutes behind already. So I just want to double check this so I can see both the description and the label. But for example, this one doesn't have either, so I want to double check it. Earlier railway station in Ystads kommun. Right?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
Oh, so now I wonder Swedish time zones.
Yes.
But it's still an existing one that's older. We changed time zones in the past.
Yeah, but for example, the Umeå one that is tore down, does it still have a time? Well, it had a time zone at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I imagine even this old one, while it isn't a train station today, it's still a place today that is located in a time zone.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it would have an end date.
Doesn't have an end date.
No, it doesn't, but it says in the description, so I imagine
yes. It's very interesting.
Actually, let's see. It says nothing about it.
No.
There is a great source for railway stations in Sweden, banvakt.se, where one could generally look up things like that, but still that's for another day. I think it's still okay for old railway stations to have this, simply because they're still there to some extent, usually. Um, this is still a building at least. Inception. I assume it's still there. Yeah, this has a station code, so it's very likely currently a active railway station.
I find it interesting that both those two you looked at had a Wikipedia article in Finnish, but not in Swedish.
Yeah, so common with railway stations in Sweden is that they doesn't exist on Swedish Wikipedia, but they exist on the Finnish Wikipedia or the Dutch one.
All right.
And also sometimes the Norwegian one.
So
But
no train spotters in Sweden, really, on Wikipedia.
Exactly. The coverage on Swedish Wikipedia isn't that good. So I'm gonna double check this as well. I should be rather quickly. This is not a railway station actually. It's a bangård. Usually for some maintenance to some extent. Still very valid, this property, I imagine. It's train related, so to say. Oh, this is quite a recent one. Where are we?
It's a new one, yeah.
Yeah. That's not every day. Usually we close railway stations rather than open new ones.
Oh, that building. Did you see the picture?
Yeah, this is lovely. We can bring it up. Yeah,
so,
yeah. Could need some
it used
work.
to be better shape.
Yeah. Here, Bodträsk. That's a lovely one. This is an active one, I imagine. Again, the Finnish Wikipedia. Oh, this is a Storuman. Oh, it's a lovely one. I believe I edited this not too long ago. The Inland Lane. One of the major ones in Sweden. This was the first one we looked at. Let's go back here. I just looked at all of those. I'm gonna be a bit more quick here. If you don't follow me, that's actually slightly intentional. I'm just checking for the same things. If they are just valid for this at all. And actually, maybe I should do this with my bot account. It would be faster, right?
To run it? Yes.
Yeah.
Then it will be just swoosh.
Yeah. See if I can just port it over quickly. Looks good. Right. So a bot account. I don't think we have mentioned what a bot account actually is. So bot account is essentially an account that are allowed to fetch items faster as well as edit them at any rate, or not any. There are a couple of rules that applies, but essentially as fast as possible, while a normal user for different type of spam reasons aren't. So one can get a bot account approved to do automated edits. Usually on Wikipedia, for example, you're required to have a bot account for automated edits. That's not really the case on Wikidata anymore because we have all of this type of tools. So it's a bit of a mix. For example, this is not entirely automated either. I'm quickly checking this for them to be correct. I have edited most of this, so they're quite easy for me to validate that they are a train station.
So you are our train spotter?
No, but I like all train stations,
yes.
So to say.
Yeah.
I actually am. I have learned, so where I'm currently living, I have learned trains that passes by just here.
Hmm.
They aren't that many. It's like 4 a day, but still.
I used to live in Stockholm, so that when I went to work, I passed nearby the train where the trains went north from Stockholm. So I managed to make quite a few movies of different train types there on. So
Oh,
they're on Uncommons.
yeah. I don't do that, but I always look for like all the old train stations. You can kind of recognize them based on the style and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, which I always find interesting because we used to have a lot of ones in Sweden
Mm-hmm.
That currently aren't active, but the building is quite often there. I just passed like a small house today that I wondered if it was a building where people lived when they did maintenance on the railroad. You can kind of recognize that style as well. It's not a railway station, but somewhere someone used to live there to do
Mm-hmm.
maintenance work on the railway station. So always find that type of things interesting. For example, this is what I'm talking about. This is not a railway station, but it's someone lived here to do maintenance here. In this case, on the iron ore lane between Kiruna and Narvik. So it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. The label was a little bit tricky because
Oh,
it said something else than train station.
exactly. It said Banvakt.
No, it says graveyard.
Right. So actually, there because there were a lot of people working on the iron ore lane, so they did not only have it for they had a special station because they have a special graveyard where they buried the people that died during the work on the railroad, and
Mm.
that's why it has a stop on its own.
Mm.
Trains doesn't stop there anymore, but it still has this old one. So I looked through all of the ones we didn't have a label or description. Great use case again, just to actually look for this and work on it. So start QS, or I'm gonna actually check if I'm signed into my bot account, or if I'm not. If I'm not, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm
You're not
not. Okay.
signed in at all.
No, so I opened a separate tab, so I can't be signed in into. This is a trick if you're using Firefox. So if you have multiple Wikimedia accounts, you can't be signed into all of them, but you have something called container tabs, which I think are great. Also because I have some additional security on my bot account, like a super strong password or things like that, just
Mm-hmm.
because you can do real damage with a bot account that's
Yeah.
allowed to edit at any speed.
Good practice.
Um, so I keep that in a container tab in Firefox, so I can also keep being signed in my bot account somewhere, so I can just check what's going on. But I aren't at the time. There was recently a total reset of Wikimedia accounts regarding them being signed in or not. If you are a common user, you would have gotten an email about that. It
Yeah.
was a week or two ago. So they signed everyone out because of security problem. But now I'm gonna start QS, which I assume means start editing.
Mm, no, I don't think so. I think you missed something on the Petscan. Or did
Oh,
it start?
I have no clue what it does currently.
So go
It
back to
says
the
batch or
Petscan.
Wikidata. But what's happening here right now? It says 0%. Can I cancel this? Or
Or did
what's
it
going on
start?
here? It's incredibly unclear to me. I'm not even signed in, it says here. Because
Yes.
now I'm in quick statements.
Yes. So I think you weren't even signed in on Petscan either. So I think it cannot start because you're not logged in, but it doesn't give you an error message.
What happens if I reload there? You can't create a new batch
Yeah.
because you're not logged in. So
So
I
if you
don't want to
go,
do
just scroll up here
right.
and What? There's no login thing here.
No, there's no login. I wonder this as well.
Huh.
This is odd.
I'm pretty sure I was logged in here and then just pressed a button next to the Start QS thing in our session.
Might this be Vidar too?
No, because it was changed with the new move, so Weeder is not in use anymore.
Okay, so I need to sign in somewhere.
But wait, you're on the old Petscan WMF Labs. It's on
There is a
Toolforge
new
now,
one.
which is not redirected. Ah.
No, but this is the Toolforge, right? It's on cloud.
I think it's petscan.toolforge.org now.
It was never on Toolforge. I only believe it was on Wikimedia Cloud.
Yeah, but that was the new move they did last week, or the last
Weren't
couple of
that
weeks.
Toolforge? Oh, I never learned it.
No, it's not on petscan.toolforge. I don't know.
Is there a new Petscan? Is there a Petscan 2?
Do we have anyone in chat knowing what's going on here?
If I go to the documentation, I imagine it would say something. Petscan.
There's a link there in the first.
Yeah, it's to the same. Does it says anything about being signed in? No. No. I am signed into Wikidata, right? Yeah.
That was tricky.
Yeah, this is not what I expected at all. Output. What is this? I can download it in various ways. Very interesting. Very interesting. It looks very much the same. Wikidata, is there something about sign in here?
No, I think there's something. So possibly, because now when I do it in my tab, I don't have this button either that I had last week. So I think you try to log in on the after you click Start QS and try the login button there and see what happens.
Right. So I'm still supposed to go to quick statements.
And
I have never used quick statements either.
Me neither, but try to log in the top right there, see what happens.
Right. Great.
Oh no.
I can actually close this then and start QS from here.
All right.
And for each, let's see, it says that one too, add statement, great. Run in background. Run. Okay.
Run it.
I'm just gonna run it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Done.
Okay.
Done. Oh,
That's
good.
Let's go and click on this one then. Yay! It added those. Let's see how it looks like in my edit. Okay. So it made 2 edits. Okay. Okay, it looks good. Oh, cool. And it just, yeah.
It seems to be very quick.
Yeah, it was pretty quick as well.
That's much quicker than mine was last week.
Yeah, this isn't the regular 10-second.
No.
For automated edits.
It
I don't
seems
know
to
if
be a second or two.
yeah, something like that. Maybe there is something connected to the tool as well, because it can actually know which tool that's being used when you log in with OAuth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have written a couple of tools using that, but yeah, there are a couple of weird things one can do actually. It might make sense for a tool like this. I might not be in favor of this myself. I'm very much of the opinion that all automated edits should go through the bot account, which I'm not following today, but
I've been making a couple of structured data editing on Commons today.
yeah.
And they were, of course, with Lucas Werkmeister's ACDC tool, and they were very quick. But it's not using the bot account. It's just my regular.
Right. I use something very similar to Catalot that Magnus created. I used like go to categories, select, add what I want to add, and so on. But I haven't tried this Orchard 2. We should really do that. We should do a stream entirely associated to structured data on Commons ones.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna open up my contributions here as the last thing to show that it seems to be showing up here as well. Järna station south of Stockholm, the Arlanda Central Station, the Major Airport in Sweden.
I think that's one that has best use of the time zone thing.
Indeed. I actually don't know. So it's something that seems to be quite specific for railway stations. I don't know why this is the case, but I'm following the practice.
Yeah, I would imagine if you're traveling east and westwards, like it might be good to know which one time zone you're in, and if you're elsewhere than in Sweden, it makes more sense.
Yeah, we can see that this actually slowed down after a while here. So I made a lot of edits, and I was slowed down by the throttling. I'm gonna leave this as is. It seems to be working, so to say. I think I might use this, probably not for a use case like this, because I really want to add that qualifier. But I think I mentioned a couple of use cases in the past for athletes, for clubs to athletes, and that type of thing. Also for reverse statements, when we have it on one item and need it on the other one. I imagine it would be great to use this.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. All right.
I hope other people will find this useful as well. So it wasn't one tool, it was actually using two tools. So first, Petscan to gather all items, and then quick statements.
More or less even three tools, because first we write a query in the query service.
We do. Okay, great.
All right. So I think we'll end it on that note, and possibly we might be back next week.
Indeed.
All right. Bye, Alvin, and bye, everyone who watched.
Thank you very much.